Hey, it's State of State. We got your Nittany Lion update. It's a football discussion with Tom and Justin, so kick back and press play.
With former Penn State and NFL defensive back Justin King, I'm Tom Hannafin. This is State of State. Please like, comment, subscribe, rate us, and turn on notifications. Follow us on social media at State of State Pod. Comment on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't done so already, you can become a member of our YouTube channel. For just 99 cents a month, you can get all upcoming episodes of State of State, plus our entire members-only playlist, ad-free, commercial-free. Hit the join button on our homepage or follow the link in the description of this podcast. State of State is presented by BetOnline. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with constant real-time odds in action and the ability to watch the games as they happen, with the largest selection of odds on everything from football to the NBA, college basketball, the NHL, and even UFC. Head to betonline.ag today and don't forget to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. State of State is presented by BetOnline. The game starts here. Busy news week for the Penn State football team. Earlier on this week, backup quarterback Beau Pribula announced he was entering the transfer portal. 24 hours later, Penn State's starting quarterback Drew Aller announced that he was returning for the 2025 season. You can understand how those kind of go hand in hand. And then the same day that Aller announced he was coming back to Happy Valley for 2025, we learned that USC wide receiver Kyron Hudson is transferring to Penn State football. He will have 1 year of eligibility remaining, and he will be joining the Nittany Lions very, very soon. This is obviously a position of need. We have talked about this, Justin, it feels like for years, trying to get better talent at wide receiver. And Kyron Hudson at least provides some excitement. I think there's plenty of fans that reacted similarly to what the reaction was with Julian Fleming. Is like, man, he played for a blue blood program. He played at USC. He has a highlight reel catch from earlier on this year against LSU. That was back in September, if I'm not mistaken. So he has that big play ability. The production is something that you're looking at of like, okay, it's not quite elite, but there is a skill set there. So at first blush, what do you think about Kyron Hudson?
First blush, I mean, I think it's good that we got filling a need at receiver. I like the stat that he hasn't had any drops, right under 500 yards. Seems to be a little bit of a speedy guy. You know, it's always interesting when you move receivers into those different puzzle pieces or moving offenses, because it has to be a wait and see type of situation like we did last year. But it's a good pickup in the first wave of transfer portal signees.
You mentioned no drops. The stat is he was targeted 64 times this past season at USC, 38 catches, 462 yards receiving, average 12.2 yards per catch, and 3 touchdowns along of 39. It was a crowded, talented USC wide receiver room. So I think that's important to look at. Mekhi Lemon, Zachariah Branch, Jacoby Lane was the leader in receiving touchdowns with 9. I believe the next closest was 5, and that was Deuce Robinson. Deuce Robinson is also into the transfer portal, so we've seen a bit of a mass exodus from USC. I don't necessarily look at this wide receiver room in the same light as I have with past Ohio State wide receiver rooms, because that kind of helped us frame Julian Fleming's experience in Columbus. Yes, he dealt with some injuries. Yes, he was buried on the depth chart with I don't know how many first-round picks at wide receiver. Remains to be seen what Lemon, Branch, Lane, Robinson ultimately will be, but that's a very talented wide receiver room that Lincoln Riley was able to put together. Does that help you understand anything that Hudson was kind of like the third option within this offense?
Besides that, no. I mean, like you said, like it's just a third option, but we'll see. I mean, sometimes you get into different opportunities with a different quarterback, and things can start rocking for you in a better way. But yeah, I just don't know too much about him. He had I want to say he had a catch or two against us. Anyway, you don't have to look it up. But anybody that presents some level of explosive playability is a good pickup in my book.
Let's see. Against Penn State, Kyron Hudson had 4 catches for 36 yards and a touchdown. So he was one of the 2 receiving touchdowns that day. Quentin Joyner got the other one. So Kyron Hudson performing at least against the Nittany Lions. So I think you and I have talked about it ad nauseum. Is just that it's a wait and see kind of thing. It's Penn State has come up short with wide receivers in the transfer portal the last few years, and I don't think that's necessarily bad evaluating. I think you can obviously look at the Julian Fleming situation and be like, okay, that's just outdated evaluating, if that makes any sense. Dante Cephas, you take a chance on a guy who put up some crazy numbers in the MAC and hoping that can translate. It just didn't. Who was the wide receiver? I'm blanking on his name already, and I feel terrible, but transferred from Florida State, was with Penn State for a season, and then went to Arizona State just a minute ago, and I'm blanking on his name. Anyway, it just feels like Penn State has missed in the portal recently with wide receivers. Seeing Hudson amidst the wide receiver room that Penn State will have in 2025, any sort of inkling in terms of how he fits into that room, or it's like, hey, I feel like this guy could be the one for Penn State in 2025, whether that's Hudson or not.
So do I think it's him, or do I think that person is in the room already?
Both.
Seems like they kind of spread out the ball depending on who has a hot hand, right? Last year it was Tyler Warren most of the time, so they kind of spread out the offense to target him. So I think it's going to be the player with the hot hand. Hopefully the player that is that guy is in the room, or we sign someone else. I mean, we got Pete Gonzalez coming off of like the little IR situation, a long-term injury. You see the younger, what's the other guy's name?
Tyson Denmark. It's definitely
Denmark. He came up a couple times, and I mean, you never know how things operate with another year under his belt with Drew, right? And how they start opening up the offense under Coach K. So, I mean, he can possibly not have the guy and have a lot more production than we had last year if there's just a nice camaraderie amongst the guys and the offense having a better hold from the quarterback position. But we'll see.
Malik McClain was the name that was escaping me. Transferred from Florida State to Penn State. Was there for a season. Big body guy, went to Arizona State. I think he's dealt with some injuries this year. I haven't watched a ton of Arizona State. Probably should potentially now that they're in the playoff. But anyway, now knowing what we know about Penn State's offense going into 2025, at least on paper, personnel, all that sort of stuff. Andy Kotelnicki is back. Drew Aller is back. You anticipate Nick Singleton and Katron Allen being back. Wide receiver room, is it being built around Hudson and an Omari Evans, for instance? There's a couple question marks there. Who's next on the assembly line of tight ends to really step up? And is it going to be kind of what we've seen with Tyler Warren, where there's a true one and an alpha, or is it more kind of years past where it was the 3-headed monster of Warren, Strange, and Theo Johnson, and you kind of tight end by committee almost? There's a lot of good questions to ask about this offense, but just kind of from that 30,000-foot view, how do you feel about Penn State's offense for 2025?
I feel good. We have a quarterback, right? That's one thing that when you have going into the season, you can feel quite confident. So I'm confident in Drew moving forward, another year under his belt. Like I said, got some offensive weapons that may be able to step up. But again, I think having the head of the whole situation with the quarterback being figured out, always got a chance to go.
And I didn't get to talk to you about this earlier on this week, but Bo Perbula going into the portal, 1, any surprise to you? And 2, how do you think that changes things for Penn State in 2025, not having that decided, consistent, reliable backup?
Well, you got to remember Coach Franklin, when he, I guess, tilted his hat to what's her name, Grunk.
Grunkemeyer, Ethan Grunkemeyer,
about how much they saw in him and in the future and things of that nature. I probably, if Bo was on the fence, probably pushed him off a little bit. But I think the team understood, like from an internal evaluation, that was going to be the number 2 guy behind Drew Aller moving forward, and they would have to figure out something with Bo Perbula. But I mean, I think they still sit in a good situation after they felt like with the confidence that they have in Grunkemeyer. Again, having 2 quarterbacks that you can trust going into the season, and got some more coming in from your recruiting class. I mean, I think you feel confident moving forward in next year in 2025.
Exciting news to hear. Penn State is addressing a position of need in the transfer portal in USC wide receiver Kyron Hudson. Whether or not he will prove to be a difference maker remains to be seen. We're going to keep an eye on that, and especially what we were just talking about with Bo Perbula's departure. How will that affect Penn State immediately this Saturday against SMU, since Perbula has been a significant part of the offense in 2024. We are going to get to that tomorrow with our full game preview of Penn State versus SMU in the first round of the college football playoff. Thank you all so much for joining us. This episode and our entire library of shows is available now on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Please like, comment, subscribe, rate us, and turn on notifications. Follow us on social media at State of State Pod. Comment on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't done so already, you can become a member of our YouTube channel for just 99 cents a month. You can get all upcoming episodes of State of State, plus our entire members-only playlist, ad-free, commercial-free. Hit the join button on our homepage or follow the link in the description of this podcast. State of State is presented by Bet Online and by Blue White Outfitters.